He's a great person who really wants to help us out and help us learn how to sell ourselves and get internships and positions. So I hope this is going to be the beginning of a really fruitful relationship. With that, I give the floor to David Krug. Go ahead, David. Thank you so much for coming.
Hi. So what do you see? I'm trying to share my screen. I'm in full screen mode. Um, whoops. Um,
We see you.
you see me, but do you see my
No,
screen?
we don't see your screen.
Okay, let's, oh, I didn't, finish.
Yes, now we see your screen.
Okay. Uh, and have CyberStart getting ready to launch on it?
Indeed.
Okay. So, um, firstly, thank you for having me. I sat in on most of Eli's or Elle's lecture. Yes, you went very quickly. I guess it's been recorded, so at your leisure, watch it again. Um, and and he's a very good teacher. The discussion tonight is, my understanding is you're getting ready to complete the course. And so you want to start thinking about internships, other things, and what comes next. Uh, it's, it's very hard to go from being in an educational mode and student mode to knowing what to look for in your first job or in a later job. What is good to be looking forward to do? Nowadays, there are apprenticeships, internships to begin to understand what the workplace in this industry is like. And so it's a good thing to do. Um, okay, so my name is David Krah. Um, what we're going to do tonight is I'll introduce myself. We're going to talk a little bit about your upcoming activities. Uh, Many of the students here are from New Jersey. I lived in New Jersey. I worked mostly in the New York, New Jersey area. So for tonight, I'm going to give some examples of finding resources in the New Jersey area. We'll talk about what New Jersey's government says about desirable credentials, and then internships, apprenticeships, finding resources. We'll talk about some readings that I strongly urge you to do. I'll offer to help you, and I'll discuss a survey for further topics for discussions that don't need to be part of the CyberStart sessions. They could be separate. Okay, and then we'll have questions and comments. So me, I grew up in the Boston area. I was born a scientist, engineer, taking things apart, breaking things, not putting them back together again. Ultimately went to Boston Latin School, graduated from there, which is a rarity. Went to Yale, the University of Pennsylvania, started out in physics, switched immediately to engineering, and very happy there. Um, After, when high school ended, before my summer camp job, I did some retail electronics and then went back and worked there December vacations. I had a summer student job, which is like an internship at IBM in a lab between college and grad school. After grad school, I worked briefly. I put this line in because of its cyber and information role, in that I was trying to, my job was to make sure we could launch our nuclear missiles uh, even during an attack by the other side, which causes electromagnetic pulses, which means that your messages get mangled. Uh, and so that was my information security, was on getting the message through. Uh, I was at IBM for 33 years, mostly almost entirely in technical sales, although some time on a billable consulting side. My clients were financial services, telecom, startups, all kinds of things. I did all kinds of systems, all tiers, all layers, all levels, um, and all phases of everything. So I've been around the block quite a bit. I'm also was certified as a distinguished IT architect and sat on certification boards for other candidates for 16 years. You have my contact information there. By the way, do not print this out, please. There's a black and white version with black text on white paper that is available to you to download and print. and it's meant to fit on either A4 or US letter paper. Okay, so I'm going to talk about some upcoming activities. Um, you're going to put together marketing materials, mainly your resume and your LinkedIn profiles. You're going to try to find a job. You're going to try to get interviews to do that. You're going to interview. You know, you're going to, when you do that, you're going to get assigned to a project or not, or the one you want or not. You're going to get tasks or not. When for interviews, you're going to try to get a meeting. If you're involved with clients, you're going to try to get a meeting. You may succeed. You're going to try to get information. You don't have a right to any of these things. You have to earn them. You're going to, during the course of your efforts, you're going to do development and then get approval and acceptance of a proposal if you're making one, either internally or to a client, for the project plan. Then you're going to do work and you're going to develop work products. You're going to have to get approval early on in your careers from other people, superiors, supervisors, management, before you present it to a customer, and then get acceptance of them, of the findings and the conclusions. And then in cybersecurity, you're going to have recommendations and you've got to get them approved. And then the work is going to be done, the remediation. Every single one of those steps requires selling on your part. You have to earn the right to get to the next step, to get the information. You've got to earn credibility and trust. You've got to convince people or not. And you're going to engage in negotiations for all of these things. Okay. So what the point is, even if you think you're not selling, you're always selling. All the time, everything that you do, convincing somebody to do something or hire you in the first place. Any questions on that? Okay. Okay, we'll have more time for other questions later. So I want to talk about finding opportunity. I got this challenge to find what's going on in the workplace for your kind of positions. And I did that a little bit for New Jersey last week. So I went to newjersey.gov and I found what are the in-demand occupations in the cybersecurity realm. And I found that the job title is usually not cyber anything. It's usually information security. And the job title is information security analyst. The information is a little old, but they have a forecast of how many were employed in the field, in the state. Average salary looks pretty good. Growth and annual job openings. I assume that means that 300 come in, 400 go out, whatever. And some assumption about a degree requirements. The point is you can find this information. That's the key thing here, aside from this being good, good news. Now, I found some articles on the topic of finding apprenticeships and internships. Read them, look at them, read them, gather information, see what the overlapping consensus is on these. Okay. I went to the Department of Labor site and found, or for the county, Ocean County, Lakewood is in Ocean County. I found something called Ocean County Pick that helps people find jobs. Found 2 career resource people. Contact them. You've got their phone numbers, their emails, job titles, and names. And this is for New Jersey. Rockland County, you can do the same. Brooklyn, you can do the same. UK and Belgium, I don't know how it works where you are. There are some 2 other sites on finding your way up and finding job fairs. I did find some, through these mechanisms, some internships at some job sites. And some of them, I think, are really pointing towards apprenticeships, meaning programs like the one you're in. And whether or not they will help you find jobs if you are not in their program, you'll have to find out from them. Okay? When you go to an employment site like Glassdoor or Indeed or internships, you can combine keywords. So if you combine a location, the keywords, if you do include it, you don't have to internship, intern, apprentice, or apprenticeship, and keywords like cybersecurity, information security, that's 12 combinations. Yes, do that. See what your results are. Okay. Now, all this slide is just the last 3 slides in one. So you just print out this one page, or you do it from the PDF, whatever. That's all it's for. From another labor site, I found out what are credentials that are valued in the industry. And so what you see here are several. Some of them you know about, some may be news to you. Getting them all, both in terms of time and studying, will be expensive and a challenge. C, the best thing to do is when you find job postings, find out what they're after and make yourself able to meet the requirements for many of the job postings. Otherwise, I have some, I've got the closer a match you have to the larger quantity of job postings, the better off you're going to be. I think that just makes sense. I'm going to suggest some mandatory and suggested books. These are links to descriptions of them or to be able to buy it. There's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. This book is about 90 years old, 85 years old, the original version. It's been updated, but the point is this has very, very, very vital, valid discussions of how to engage people. You are going to be a consultant, probably, whether within a company or in a consulting firm. You're going to need, as we said before, to sell yourself, to sell your proposals, your recommendations, all of those things. And this is going to guide you in how to interview people, how to establish rapport with them, how to get along with them, and how to get from them what their needs and interests are so that you can satisfy them. It's not, you bring something to the table and you can tell them about it, but if it's not what they need, if they don't see how it satisfies something they want and need, then so what? The next book is Getting to Yes. This is a book about negotiations. And negotiations doesn't mean haggling or handling over a price. It means getting an agreement as to what you're going to do, what is for mutual benefit, much, much more than just the price. This was the official manual for negotiations and the process in IBM. It's adopted from a group at Harvard that goes around consulting. I took the actual course through IBM, and it is a terrific way to think about how to interact with people. Speaking of which, the next book is by an Israeli American who won the Nobel Prize in economics, even though he's a psychologist. And this is a book that, Thinking Fast and Slow, is a book that if you say to anybody, everybody who's read this book agrees that it is helpful no matter what they do in life, no matter what their job is, whether they're a homemaker or employee with their relatives. It explains so much about how people think and act. Everybody should read this book, no question. Now, in the workplace, you will interact with people, and if you're on committees and you're shul or whatever, you will interact with people that you just don't get along with. They're a little meshuggah, they're stuck up, there are many, many personality issues that make it hard to work with a person. This book is not a one-size-fits-all, which many, many business books are, that say, here is the problem, here is the solution. This book says there's at least 11 kinds of problems that people have in the workplace. And here's a chapter on each different pattern. What's the pattern? What's the person like? What their goal? What they care about, and how you can work with them for mutual success. The Cuckoo's Egg is a book, and there's a video you can watch, which is in effect a documentary replay of the book with the real characters, except for the ones who were imprisoned or dead. And it is about an early cyber hacking exercise written by the guy who was in charge, who noticed something was wrong in the systems in his company. Accounting records didn't add up. He ended up following the leads, seeing what was going on, what they were doing, where they were coming from, and followed the path all the way back to Eastern Europe. This is from before the fall of the Iron Curtain. So this was from the 1980s. So I strongly urge that you get this book out of the library or watch the YouTube, mostly again with the real characters. And you'll see, if you read the book and watch it, you'll see that the guy wrote the way he talks. So it'll be very illuminating for you. Okay. Now, I'm offering to help you. You have my email, you have my US Google number, and obviously call Sunday to Thursday Israel time. Don't wake me up, and don't call when Shabbos here. And my Israeli phone number. I think it's worthwhile to see an experienced professional's LinkedIn profile. Mine, when it looked like I might be looking for a job, it was getting me calls about twice a week. So a good LinkedIn profile is a big help. And secondly, there are a lot of groups on LinkedIn, and it pays to join appropriate groups to see names. It's how you establish contacts inside a company, which can help you network and and understand job postings and see what's really going on. As a group, I think we could maybe get together to understand and interpret job postings. You can bring one up on the screen, discover it, and I think there may be other topics of interest that didn't quite fit today. And so one thing I want you to do is, of course, I will work with you if you wish individually on your resume and LinkedIn profile. I think, though, you already have other resources from SOMET to help you with that. But I still would be happy to look at it and join my own 2 cents. So next screen, I created a survey form to ask if you are interested in some additional topics. And so the form, these are check boxes. Yes, no, means I don't want to talk about it. Okay, I'll tolerate it on these topics. And I include after each one some what the subtopics are that I think we would talk about. Please do fill it in. Okay, the first section is just demographics, name, phone number, time zone, stuff like that. And then the second section are these check boxes on each topic. Okay, so now questions and comments, unmute yourself if you're going to say something. Thank you. Not all at once.
So, David, I have a few young men, Yoshua Plopper and Yisrael Oispresser and Yisrael Meriwala, who have been in the IT world for a number of years. And these are, I think of them as Lakewood guys. I'm not sure if they're all three in Lakewood, but they're the kind of people that I think you could really be a great mentor to them. And so I look forward to making a shidduch between you guys to put you in touch with them so that you can give them guidance and share the wealth of your experience and stuff with them. If any of you guys have questions, go ahead and share. Okay, Deborah has a question in the chat, so I'll read it.
Okay.
How do you make a LinkedIn profile look good when you're just starting out and haven't got much to post?
So my career was very well established by the time LinkedIn came into existence. So what what you do is, I think you include uh, more recent activities. Um, you include firstly the course, any certifications. Um, if you've done any, when it comes to projects, you can put projects in, and they don't necessarily need to be at an employer. They could be, in fact, some of the exercises from the course. You could possibly put in the course description and syllabus as a document. In LinkedIn now you can put in documents, um, and if you created any presentations in the course of this, other things, you can put them on SlideShare and reference them. If you have developed your Windows skills, your Linux skills, Mac skills, whatever the case may be, server software, whatever. I wouldn't put it in, but on this kind of thing, if you hacked into 22 companies' websites and not been noticed, you might, for this kind of job, you might say that. The discussion in the previous session ended with collecting information and extracting information from other websites. This being recorded, there's an Israeli music site that has, and I went to very Zionist summer camps and things, that has lots of old Israeli, Palestinian Jewish, even Russian songs, thousands of them, more than 10,000 of them. What I did is I went to the website and looked at some of the pages and saw what the pattern was, and created a download script and downloaded all of the pages, and from the pages wrote a grep or awk script to extract the references to the names of the songs, including each one had its own directory, so the names all differed, and then created a script to download all the music. And let's just say it's 11 gigabytes of music, and it took more than a day. But you can do these things, and so how much you say in a public forum like that for an ethical hacker, be careful what you say, because it will be visible, but say things that'll make you interesting. So Moshe, Yoshua, any comment on that? You're silent.
Well, I have a question. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Hi,
Yeah.
it's Siri. I just want to know, just throughout your career, do you think changing your career path or changing your direction later on in life have you seen people do that? And do you think it's possible?
I have seen people do that. And I also, in my career, saw young people who were not IT or engineering or science majors be very, very successful. For some of them, it took more work and a lot more work, and they went slower, but still were very diligent and were very successful, very competent and very successful. At the time, thinking back to when I was starting, there weren't a lot of computer science majors that a company could hire. There weren't a lot, and even in the world of, let's say, technical sales, there was nobody. They would hire musicians because they get patterns, they see patterns. They would hire people with who could see visual patterns, because a lot of problem solving is seeing what the pattern is, what's going on, what repeats or doesn't repeat. And so, and then the company trained them to do things, the right way, the wrong way, the Army way, and the IBM way. Companies don't do that as much. They don't need to do that as much, but they did then.
Okay,
So Bahasla Khan,
thank you.
don't let it hold you back.
Hi, it's Ellie over here.
Okay.
I'm not sure how I'm coming over. I'm curious, I mean, I see you have a lot of experience and a lot of relevant experience. Just in general, bit of perspective about how you, assuming that you don't live, eat, breathe 24 hours a day, the job, like how do you manage, how you manage your day as far as the current work that you do and kind of keeping up when we need to, or how do you prioritize that? Like kind of like staying current, but not spending your entire every spare minute that you have doing that.
Well, I did. Personally, I mostly, I've been pretty much unemployed the last almost 5 years, 4 years. So I did some technical projects. And I have a research, you might call it, project on capacity, workload modeling, capacity planning, and sizing, and ultimately could be costing for applications and systems in the cloud, in a services-oriented architecture, starting from the business use cases and starting even before the application's developed. And this is something that people have said it's the right thing to do and been saying that for 30 years, but nobody does it because they don't know how. I figured it out. So if I can find anybody interested in that, I'm going to do more completing that work. I have some others in the realm of authorization and entitlements and extending those for the future in the digital world, and some other projects. I do a lot. I waste a lot of time on something called Quora.com. I'm getting sort of disgusted by it, and so I'm going to try to get myself off doing that, answering questions there. But in the good old day, I read a lot. Even before there was the web, there were a lot of IBM manuals. Many of them were free, even to customers. They were certainly free for us. And then there were things called red books, which explain technologies and combinations of them and integration. I read a lot of red books, and had a lot of classroom education, mostly, IBM internally with travel and classes in the good old days. And so I was fortunate, able to do that. And my wife thought it strange that I'd be reading one of these manuals in bed and start laughing at something I thought was silly, but that's how it is.
I wish you was talking on finding the right fit.
Yeah.
Sooner.
So, so I look forward to getting vicarious thrills from your success.
Me too. Thank you.
Okay, for you, non-vicarious for you. I mean, and I'll stop there. Anything else? So thank you for listening to me. Was the communications and the sound okay?
Very effective. Thank
Okay.
you very much, David.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
I will make sure we'll follow up on your questionnaire, and we'll see how we can continue to engage and move forward together. Thank you so much.
Okay. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank